Hi, welcome to another video. This week we'll be looking at the process of taking beginner players and helping them to grow throughout their tennis career into advanced players. Most people tend to think that this process is an easy process and there's a lot of factors that get overlooked. So today we'll be looking at a few tips I can give you based on how to grow a player from a beginner stage all the way up. My name is Byron Weger. We here at GFT Academy really like to focus on the process of players all the way from starting to end. Most people have asked me this question before, and usually parents, players and coaches tend to get a lot of frustration when their players aren't performing as quick or as well as what they'd like. So let's jump into these 3 tips on how to really get them into the process of growing. Tip number 1. First of all, you need to understand your current needs. This means that if you as a player aren't moving well enough, hitting a certain shot, or even just playing points well enough, you need to start off over there. Most people tend to already look at a player practicing next to them or after them or before them, and they start looking at what they're doing, thinking that that's what they need to do. You as a player need to first of all know that you might be lacking in certain areas, or you might be even strong in certain areas. This means that you basically need to really keep your focus on what you need to do to be able to play better right now. This process already could take a while. So if it's movement, you're going to have to do a lot of movement drills. If it's swinging, you've got to do a lot of technical drills maybe. So match play, you could even look at playing practice matches once or twice a week. Whatever it is, you really need to try and make sure that you don't sway off of where you are at the moment and actually really stay focused on that point. Tip number 2, put in the hours. This is quite important because most people learn something and think because they've been able to do it once, they can do it again straight away. A lot of the time, repetition means time. So putting in the time, putting in the effort, putting in the hours in practice and on matches. This is quite important. Most people tend to stop at practice and say, I've practiced well enough, so this should work in matches. And that's always a very big red flag, is when you're practicing too hard, but you haven't actually put in the same amount of time on the tennis court in matches. So matches have a totally different structure. Matches give you pressure, teaches you how to deal with different players, teaches you how to deal in different scenarios. So even if it's a practice match, you really need to look at how to grow from putting in the hours on the practice court into putting in the hours on the match court. The more hours you put in, the easier you'll be able to learn things. This is only if you understand tip number 1. Once you know what you need and you can just solely focus on that while playing matches and practice matches and training, you'll grow quicker. Then tip number 3 is that you need to learn and compete enough. So by understanding what you need in tip 1 and by putting in the hours in tip number 2, now you are able to use that in your armor when playing a tennis match. This can be quite a tricky thing to do because of the added pressure, stress and expectations. People start to get into matches and they tend to really overthink what they need to be doing. I would suggest that you rather simplify this and especially just focus on what you already have, because in competition you always want to find a way to win your matches, and then take from what you've learned from tip number 1 and 2 and actually apply it in your matches. This could maybe alter your performance in a certain way, but it shouldn't deviate too much because you still have a set structure on how you've started playing. So this is quite important to make sure that you're not just playing matches to learn, but actually playing matches to compete. You've already got a certain way of playing a tennis match. Now you've changed your movement, so maybe just try to move better within the same way you play. Maybe you've hit a bad serve in the past. Now you want to focus on serving better. So with the same amount of tennis, same type of tennis you've been playing, you want to add the serve to that. You want to use the serve in a better way, but you don't want to change your identity as a player. it's very important to make sure that you use these 3 steps and reassess them every single month, every year, even every 3 years. Especially with juniors and the different age groups, the type of tennis that you'll be playing will change when you're 8 years old all the way up to 15, 16 maybe. So it's important to know that the process isn't something that has an end goal. It should be an open ceiling for you to be able to focus on what to add to your game next. The more you focus on the process of growing as a player, the more you'll be able to understand yourself, understand how to compete in matches, and understand how to win matches, because that is ultimately what we're trying to do. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, especially for parents, players, and coaches. It's really hard to see from the sidelines how hard people put in the effort and amount of time, and most people only look at the result. So I hope that you guys understand that it's a long process, it takes time, and the more you focus on it step by step, the easier you'll grow as a player and grow your identity. Please remember to leave a comment down below and like and subscribe to our GFT YouTube channel. Thanks.